The story begins in the Silverthorn Palace, situated in a secluded mountain valley. Living there is an elderly woman named Adelaide. Once a famous painter, she now suffers from dementia. Though she has forgotten everything of the present, she attempts to paint an incomplete face on her canvas every day at the same time. She cannot remember whose face it is. A young woman named Erica arrives to look after the palace. Erica notices that the atmosphere of the palace is incredibly somber. At midnight, Adelaide goes to an old greenhouse in the garden and speaks to someone, a place where no flowers have bloomed for 20 years. Whenever Erica asks Adelaide about the incomplete face, she merely whispers a single name: Sebastian. One day, while cleaning, Erica finds a small black box hidden under a loose floorboard. Inside is an old silver ring and a blood-stained white handkerchief. Engraved on the ring is a date, October 18th. Erica realizes that behind the nobility of this palace lies a terrifying night that Adelaide has erased from her memory. Later, while working, Erica discovers a diary. Reading it, her blood turns ice cold and tears begin to stream from her eyes. Many years ago, the surroundings of Silverthorn Palace trembled in fear. Every employee and townsperson knew Adelaide as a cruel and ambitious woman. People said she had sacrificed her emotions for the sake of power. The slightest mistake under her command resulted in severe punishment. No one dared to look her in the eye. But in reality, she possessed a tender heart that no one knew of. Adelaide's father was the absolute ruler of Silverthorn, a man for whom mercy or kindness were signs of weakness. He believed that to rule, one must have a heart of stone. He possessed a primal cruelty. He systematically eliminated anyone with a gentle soul. Adelaide had even lost her soft-hearted mother and younger brother before her very eyes, simply because of their gentle nature. Adelaide realized at a very young age that to survive this hell, she had to become like her father, or at least prove herself to be so. To preserve her existence and escape her father's wrath, she turned her tears into stone within her. The girl who once cried over a butterfly's broken wing now gave orders to lash people without hesitation. Every moment of this act was a silent death for her. Alaric was the king's pride, a perfect reflection of their father's stony heart. When their mother and brother were killed for the crime of gentle nature, Alaric didn't just stand by, he had a demonic smile on his lips. He believed that to keep a garden beautiful, weeds must be uprooted, and his mother and brother were those weeds. To the king, Alaric was an invincible weapon, but lately the king's eyes had fallen upon Adelaide. Her feigned cruelty and cold-blooded decisions impressed him. This sparked a deep jealousy within Alaric. He considered himself the only worthy successor, and Adelaide's rise burned him from within. Alaric never believed in Adelaide's change. He remembered the girl who used to hide food for the servants or cry for an injured bird. To Alaric, her cruelty was just a high-level performance. He was desperate to tear off that mask. Alaric often tested Adelaide in front of their father. He would bring a rebellious prisoner or the young child of a criminal before her and tell her to execute them. He would watch her eyes like a hunting cat, looking for a flicker of hesitation or pity. Deep at night, he poured poison into the king's ears, saying, "Father, she may be doing the job, but have you noticed she turns her face away when blood spills? It's our mother's weak blood she's trying to hide." He knew Adelaide's only peaceful place was her solitude. Alaric bribed the maids and placed spies behind the walls, hoping to catch her crying or praying alone. That would be the ultimate proof of her downfall. One night at a royal banquet, the king sat at a massive ebony dining table. In the firelight, his face looked like a stone idol. To his left sat Adelaide, pale but calm. To his right was Alaric, wine glass in hand, a crooked smile on his face. "Father," Alaric's voice broke the silence like a knife. "Today I caught a boy from the stables. He stole a silver coin. He claimed his sick sister needed medicine. What a strange and weak excuse, isn't it?" At his signal, guards dragged a trembling boy into the hall. Alaric didn't look at the boy. His eyes were on Adelaide. He saw her grip her spoon so tightly her knuckles turned white. "Adelaide," Alaric called softly, sliding a sharp knife across the table toward her. "The guards are tired. Why don't you show Father how we judge a thief? Or did the boy's pathetic story touch your heart?"
"You look quite pale, my dear sister." The king turned his heavy, cold gaze towards Adelaide, waiting for an answer. Adelaide felt Alaric's eyes mocking her, provoking her to make a mistake. She knew that showing a drop of mercy now would ensure that it would be the last thing she ever felt. She reached for the knife. Though her soul screamed in agony, her face remained cold as ice. Alaric leaned forward, waiting for the mask to fall. When Adelaide touched the handle of the knife, a demonic silence fell over the hall. She looked into the boy's eyes for a moment. There was the howl of death in them. But she knew if that howl touched her, 2 lives would end tonight, the boy's and her own. She stood up and walked toward the boy. Alaric's smile widened, thinking she would lose her nerve. But Adelaide did the unimaginable. She stopped right in front of the boy, lifted his chin with the tip of the knife, and said in a low, ice-cold voice, "Stealing a silver coin is easy. Surviving in Silverthorn Palace is hard. This palace is not run by mercy, but by blood." Suddenly, she spun toward Alaric. Instead of striking the boy, she slammed the knife into the table, aimed directly at Alaric. She looked at the king and said calmly, "Father, there is no point in staining my hands with the blood of this thief. A thief who steals out of compassion for another is not worthy of our sword. His punishment shall be a slow death in the dungeon." Then she turned to Alaric with a crooked smile. "Big brother, are you so incompetent that you cannot settle the score with a simple thief yourself? Or were you hoping I would clean up your mess for you? Did our father teach you to depend on others?" Alaric's face turned red with humiliation. He had wanted to prove her weak, but she had made him look useless before their father. The king spoke in his heavy voice. "Enough. Adelaide is right. Alaric, you should have the power to settle the fate of a thief you brought in yourself. Think of your own worth before testing Adelaide." When the meal ended, Alaric blocked Adelaide's path in a dark corridor. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. He whispered in Adelaide's ear, "You survived today, sister, but I know you didn't kill that boy because you were afraid of hearing his death scream. Your mask is getting thin. Be careful. Next time there won't be a knife, there will be a gallows rope." After Alaric's threat, Adelaide became even more isolated. In every corner of the palace, she felt 1,000 eyes watching her. By day, she played the cruel princess, but at night she was just an orphaned girl clinging to the memories of her mother and brother. She had no one to share her loneliness with until the renovation of Silverthorn Palace began. Sebastian arrived in her stony life like the first rain. A common painter from a distant land was brought in to restore the old murals of the main hall. Sebastian did not care for royal nobility. He wore simple clothes stained with paint and had a dreamy look in his eyes. When he painted, it seemed every stroke brought life back to the walls. Everyone in the palace warned him to stay away from Adelaide, saying that anyone who catches her eye is burnt to ashes. One afternoon, Adelaide was walking along the balcony. Suddenly, her gaze fell on Sebastian, who was sitting in a corner of the garden painting a dying tree. Strangely, as he touched it with green paint, it felt as if a spring breeze was truly blowing through the canvas. Adelaide couldn't help herself and went down to him, her face wearing its usual artificial gravity. Does a common painter have so much courage to waste time in the royal garden? Adelaide said harshly. Sebastian smiled gently without stopping his brush. Princess, I am not wasting time. I am bringing back the lost dreams of this dead tree. Don't you think that inside every hard thing in this world, there is a soft life hidden? Adelaide was stunned. Those words hit her heart directly. Sebastian looked into her eyes. There was no fear, but a deep compassion. For the first time, Adelaide felt that someone saw her not as a princess, but as a human being. For a few moments, she stood frozen. Guards moved forward to arrest him for his insolence, but Adelaide stopped them. The soft life hidden beneath her mask was desperate to come out. She said in a low, ice-cold voice, "Tell everyone to leave. I will punish this cunning painter myself."